want you to, I got these articles real quick before I get into this list I want to bring out. Let me see, which one first? This one, get the one at the top. Yeah. Baba Kashai. I want you to read the title of this in the source, right? Read what you got.
Science Daily, source University of Washington.
Now, I know a lot of y'all think that the media tells y'all the truth, right? That you watch the news from morning, noon, and night, and they tell you the whole truth, right? They just give you all the information, everything you need to be successful in your everyday life, right? I'm gonna show you that that's a lie.
Right.
I'm gonna show you that that's a lie. You know what the media says about black men and gun violence? They say gun violence, and it's just such a high crime. Like homicide is just running rapid in America. But the truth about that is, if you go and buy that quote-unquote glizzy, you are more inclined to put that gun in your mouth and pull the trigger than you are to kill somebody else. Damn. Now let's see what the science says about it. Read what you got. Read the title.
Suicide more prevalent than homicide.
Read that one more time.
Suicide more prevalent than homicide in U.S. But most Americans don't know.
You hear that? Suicide is more prevalent in America than homicide, but most Americans don't know. I wonder why most Americans don't know that. Do you know, you go buy that gun, you think that gun is for protection. You think you're gonna spin the block on your ops with that gun. The studies have shown you are more inclined to blow your own brains out than to commit a homicide. That's according to the science. But they don't tell you that. Why? Because they want to feed you a narrative, especially to those young black, Hispanic, and Native American kids. Read the highlights. Keep reading.
I'm gone. In the United States, suicide is twice as common as homicide.
Read that one more time.
In the United States, suicide is twice as common as homicide.
Did you hear that? It says suicide is twice as common as homicide. So think about all the homicides you hear. Think about the homicide rate in Chicago, the homicide rate in Houston, the homicide rate in all your metropolitan cities, right? Think about that, and then read what this brother, and listen what this brother said. Read it again.
In the United States, suicide is twice as common as homicide. And more often involves firearms.
Involves what?
Firearms.
Gun violence, right? They tell you about gun violence, but they don't tell you that majority of the time, you're taking that gun and committing the act on yourself. Keep reading.
But the public's perception is just the opposite.
You hear that? They say that suicide is twice more likely, but the public perception is the opposite. Who controls your perception? Who controls all your information? The media. The media controls all of this. And they got you believing that homicide is just running rampant. They got you to believe that we have such a problem with gun violence in America amongst blacks and Hispanics. Oh, they won't push that narrative. They're going to tell you that gun violence is running rampant. But what they won't tell you is it's suicide.
Right.
Not homicide. Not aggravated murder. It's not that. It's suicide. Keep reading.
News reports, movies, and TV shows may contribute to the perception of a high risk of firearm homicide.
You hear that? It says that the news and the TVs and the movies suggest to you that there's a higher rate in homicides because you watch those bang bang shoot 'em up movies. You go and watch John Wick kill 1,000 people in the movie? John Wick in one scene killed like 200 people and didn't get shot. And that's what you perceive. You perceive that's what's going on with guns. You think that boys is out here getting John Wicked.
Right.
When in reality, you're killing yourselves with the guns.
Right.
Keep reading.
Damn.
Authors of a new study say leaving a substantial gap between ideas and reality and potentially leading to further danger.
Further what?
Further danger.
You hear that? They saying the gap between the what you think is happening and what's really going on is going to lead to further danger. Because you're going to think, I need to carry a gun. I need to have a gun in my house to protect my family. I need to have a gun on me all the time to protect me from this and that, right? But they're not telling you that you are twice as more likely to kill yourself than you are to defend yourself with your firearm. And you don't know that. So you keep those firearms so readily accessible. You keep them on your hip, on your desk, on your nightstand. And guess who gets them? Your children. Your children get them. You understand? And what do? They harm themselves with it. But the media don't report that. Keep reading.
Now, first of its kind research led by the University of Washington, Northeastern University, and Harvard University.
Now, these are white universities, the ones y'all respect. You know what I'm saying? These come from the opinions of the white people who y'all respect. Keep reading.
Delves into public perceptions of gun violence and the leading cause of death in the United States. The research indicates that in the scope of violent death, the majority of U.S. adults do not know people are dying.
No, read it again.
Do not know how people are dying.
Yeah, that it say people don't know how people are dying. You see the death toll, you see it involve firearms, but the first thing comes to your mind is homicide. But that is not the case, according to the University of Harvard. You know, the people that y'all respect. Keep reading.
Said Aaron Morgan, lead author and doctoral student in the Department of Epidemiology at the University of Washington School of Public Health.
That's epidemiology, meaning they saying it's an epidemic. They're studying this like a disease, like a plague, like something that's reoccurring. Right. That's how they're studying these things. And this is what they found. Keep reading.
Knowing that the presence of a firearm increases the risk for suicide.
Read that one more time.
Knowing that the presence of a firearm increases the risk for a suicide.
You hear that? The presence of a firearm increases the risk of suicide. God. Not increases the risk of you killing somebody, of you spinning a block, or of you fighting off an attacker. That's what they gave you through the media, through the movies. Right. They got you thinking you're going to be out here John Wayne, John Wicking, right. You know, Bad Boys Foeing. Yeah. That's what they think. That's what they telling you. And you think, yeah, I'm going to go grab me a gun and make sure if anybody come in this house and try to attack me, I'm going to take them out. Meanwhile, you're really going to take yourself out. You're more likely to kill yourself than to kill some intruder with the gun that you done bought for protection. Right. Keep reading now.
And that firearm suicide is substantially more common than firearm homicide.
You hear that? Firearm suicide is substantially more common than homicide. Right. Substantially. So now this ain't a little thing. This is a big thing, but why don't you know this? You watch the news, you watch the movies, you and all the blogs, but they're not reporting this. Why? Because they don't want this to change. Right. They don't want to stop the gun violence. They don't want to prevent the suicides. Because if they did, then they will report it. They're not reporting this. That's why you don't know. You don't know that suicide is 2 times more likely than homicide. You don't know that. Well, we're going to bring you the truth, according to the white man in Harvard. Because, you know, y'all respect them, according to Harvard. Not my words, the scientists. It's some more on that? Can you read?
May lead people to think twice about whether or not firearm ownership and their storage practices are really the safest option for them and their household.
All right, go to the next page. Let's get some understanding. Go to the next page. Read what you got.
To analyze national public perception, research used data from the 2015 National Firearms Survey, a web-based survey of nearly 4,000 U.S. adults. In that survey, individuals were asked to rank the relative cause of violent death in their state over the past year.
So now, this is a study that was given to 4,000 adults, and they asked them to rank the types of deaths that are happening in their states. Keep reading.
Wait.
Are you finna relieve me?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead. Show them where you at. Be careful, I'm down here.
Get you something to eat, all right?
All right, go ahead. Read where you left off.
The data were open, then compared to each state officials' death count. The results indicated that although suicide was more common than homicide in all 50 states.
In how many states?
In all 50 states.
In some of the states.
In all 50 states.
You hear that? They research came out and find that suicide is what? Read it again.
Was more common than homicide in all 50 states.
Suicide is more common than homicide in all 50 states. Keep reading.
The majority of respondents did not identify it as such.
Wait. Read that one more time.
The majority of respondents did not identify it as such. The relative frequencies that respondents reported it didn't match up with states' data when we compared them to vital statistics.
Wait, let me, okay, it says, hold on 1 second. The relative frequencies that respondents reported didn't match up with the state's data when it was compared with vital statistics. Meaning, of all these people they asked about which is more prevalent, homicides or suicides, their answers didn't match up to statistics, right? Meaning, they thought it was more homicides than suicides. This is what they thought. Why? Because this is what you've been programmed through the media. Keep reading.
The inconsistency between the true causes and what the public perceives to be frequent causes of death indicates a gap in knowledge and a place where additional education can be helpful.
Additional education can be helpful, I'm sure. Is it additional education, or could you just report the facts?
Damn.
That's what you should do. Report the facts.
Right.
Stop the propaganda. We can go in on the media in a little bit. Keep reading.
Researchers say education about the actual risk is critical. If people believe homicide is the top risk, for example, they might purchase a gun to protect themselves, and without an understanding of the high risk of suicide.
Whoa, brother. I think you're reading this too fast. Read what they said again about you thinking you're going to buy that firearm for protection. Read it again.
For example, they might purchase a gun to protect themselves and without an understanding of the high risk of suicide. People may be less inclined to store firearms safely.
You hear that? You be more or less inclined to store your firearm safely because you think it has to be close to you in an event of an attack. Not realizing you are twice as likely to attack yourself than you are to defend yourself with guns. But America not teaching you that. We're gonna keep on going. Read the last part.
To Morgan and her colleagues, this education on firearm risk needs to be extended to the media.
To the who?
To the media.
To the who?
To the media.
And who else?
And entertainment industries.
Do you hear that? Scientists are saying they need to get this information to the media and the entertainers. Why? Because that's who people listen to. That's where you get your knowledge from. That's where you get your understanding from. That's where you eat all the propaganda from the media and the entertainers, because they will have you believe that it's a John Wick out here. They will have you believe there's a Jason Bourne out here. Do you know how desensitized you are to murder? Do you know? You are desensitized to guns because you think I'm gonna one day have to protect my family. When in reality, you're twice as more likely to kill your family and commit suicide with that very gun than you are of protecting your family from harm. What other article there? Let's get to this next one. You can give them that. You don't matter. Give them that. Read. First of all, read the top. What source is that? Read what that is.
This is CBS News. Mass shooting.
That's NBC. That's the Peacock. NBC. Yeah. Read it.
This is NBC News.
Now I'm bringing out another article. Something about this media that you're supposed to be listening to, right? They're supposed to be telling you the truth. Read what the title says.
Mass shootings. Experts say.
Whoa, who said?
Experts say Violence is contagious, and 27 news cycle doesn't help.
24/7 news cycle does not help mass shootings. This is a study on mass shootings. Do you know that it was in, I think it's 2019, there were more mass shootings than there are days of the year. We were averaging a mass shooting per day in 2019, which is why God had to send the COVID virus. God had to send COVID, because if he didn't send COVID, more mass shootings would have happened. More mass shootings would have happened. There are 365 days in a year, and in 2019, we averaged one mass shooting per day.
That's crazy.
Do you not understand that?
That's crazy.
The average of it, meaning on some days it was more than one. On some days it was more than three. Do you not understand this? Experts have studied this. And let's see what they came up with. Read that part right there, right under that, yeah.
We know that mass shootings are socially contagious.
We know what?
We know that mass shootings are socially contagious and tend to occur in clusters.
And they tend to occur in clusters. They say we know that mass shootings are contagious. Did you not hear that? They are saying that mass shootings are contagious. COVID is contagious. You know how you pass COVID? Well, that's how they are passing mass shootings, according to the scientists. Who quoted that? Read the next part.
Said Jillian Peterson, a criminology professor.
Hey, what?
A criminology professor.
Maybe you will listen to the professors. Maybe that's who you will listen to, because you don't want to listen to us. You don't want to hear the words of God. Maybe you'll listen to that college professor telling you that the studies show that mass shootings are contagious. I've never heard of that before in my life. I know what contagious mean, and I ain't talking about the Ron Isley. I know what contagious mean. You mean to tell me you can catch a mass shooting? What do the conditions have to be for you to catch a mass shooting? Well, we're going to read it, because guess what? They've studied this. Go to the next page and read the highlights.
Should I read this right?
No, the highlights.
As research suggests that violence, particularly gun carnage, can be contagious.
Can be what?
Can be contagious.
Researchers suggest that violence, in particular gun violence, can be contagious. Have you ever heard that in your life? What senator you know you voted for that talks about this? What president that you're voting for talks about this?
Right.
What mayor are you voting for talking about this? They're not talking about it. But this is what scientists are finding out, because they're studying these things. Can you read?
Some experts are calling.
Some who?
Some experts are calling for an end to blanket media coverage of mass shootings.
So you got experts calling for the ending of blanket coveraging of mass shootings.
Right.
If y'all can remember the Columbine, brother, they talked about that all month. You understand? When that white boy went, no, not him. I'm gonna get to that one. The one that was in Vegas, at the Mandalay, right? Shot 400 people from a hotel balcony. Old white man, 60 years old, shot 400 people in Vegas. Not to mention the Parkland dude. Is that the one in Florida, Parkland? When he killed, 24 people at the high school?
Yes, sir.
And then the white boy from Buffalo, New York killed 11 Mexicans, I believe. Northern Kingdom. Know what I'm saying? Israelites, your people, murdered by this white man, by this mass shooter. Well, guess what? Studies have shown that, wait, let's go back to it. Read it again.
As research suggests that violence, particularly gun carnage, can be contagious. Some experts are calling for an end to blanket media coverage of mass shootings, saying it can provide potential shooters with a chance of fame.
With a chance of what?
With a chance of fame.
You see that? You covering this mass shooter 24/7, giving him fame. Keep reading.
Scorecards.
And what?
Scorecards.
Scorecards. You know what that means. Body counts.
Damn.
You're talking about, this man, he shot 400 people.
Right.
Well, guess what? The next mass shooter say, I'm going to shoot 401.
Damn.
Keeping scorecards. Keep reading.
With which to compare one another and even blueprints for carrying out attacks.
Do you hear that? The media is even reporting the blueprints for carrying out mass shootings. And you wonder why we have so many in America.